Welcome, and thank you for checking out the Career 270 webinar series, How to Stand Out in a Difficult Job Market. During this webinar, Polishing Your Resume, we'll discuss generally accepted guidelines for resume format and content, putting the final touches on your resume, and the importance of tailoring it to each position you apply for. So how much time does a hiring manager spend reviewing your resume? Hiring managers spend 15 to 20 seconds looking at your resume, but only if it captures enough of their attention during their initial 5-second scan. We'll give tips today on how to grab their attention during that first 5 seconds. During this webinar, we will define what a resume is, discuss resume types along with their parts and their purposes, explain what automatic tracking software system is, and cover additional do's and don'ts of resume writing. So what is a resume? A resume is a short written account of personal, professional, and educational experiences. It's one of your first impressions with a potential employer and a marketing tool to capture the reader's interest to obtain an interview. Your resume describes your qualifications. To stand out among other applicants, you need a resume that markets your strengths and match for the job. A great resume grabs the attention of employers and recruiters, sells your strongest skills and accomplishments, shows how you're a match for a position or project, and most importantly, gets you the job interview. So what are employers looking for, or what do they want to know about you? Employers are looking to see if you can fill their needs. What can you do for the company? How can you improve the company? Can you make the company money? Can you improve their processes? And can you make customers happy? An important first step in creating your resume is gathering information. To best match your goals and qualifications to employers' needs, you need to research the employer's job boards and job ads. You can study their postings on job boards and ads in newspapers and journals. These will tell you what skills, education, and other qualifications employers are looking for. You can view the employer's websites. Company websites can be a rich source of information. Along with job postings and other career information, you'll find information on a company's history, mission, and more. You'll want to check out the company's social networking sites. Tools like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter are great for research. For example, you can use LinkedIn to research companies and hiring managers you've identified. As you research your job target, be sure to click keywords from the various sources you explore. You can use these to appeal to employers in your resume, online profiles, and other documents. We will get more into the importance of using keywords and phrases for automatic tracking software in just a minute. Formatting your resume is an important step in creating a professional, readable resume. Remember, the goal is to capture the hiring manager's attention within the first 5 seconds. If your resume is neat or well formatted, they'll take that as you are neat or well organized. If it's error-free, they will think that you'll have a great attention to detail. There are several different ways to format your resume. One of the first decisions you should make is the type of resume you will write. There are 2 basic resume formats, functional and chronological. The main difference is the amount of emphasis on your job history compared to your skills. We'll cover both, but a chronological resume with jobs listed in order by date should be used to ensure automatic tracking software will successfully interpret it. So what is automatic tracking software? You've heard me mention this a few times now. The modern job search has turned the resume into a technical document, meaning decisions are made based on what percentage of the text matches the job description. Applicant tracking software provides recruiting and hiring tools for companies that collect and sort thousands of resumes. When you apply for a job online, your resume is not typically going directly to a recruiter or hiring manager. It is first being processed by this software. Whether a human recruiter ever sees your resume could depend on how well your resume is optimized for the automatic tracking software algorithms. Most large corporations utilize applicant tracking systems. JobScan research found that 98% of Fortune 500 companies use automatic tracking software, while a Kelly survey estimated 66% of large companies and 35% of small organizations rely on the recruitment software. We'll discuss automatic tracking software more when we cover listing experiences and responsibilities, and again later in the series when we go over optimization of your social media accounts, more specifically LinkedIn. Back to the types of resume. A functional resume focuses more on the relevant skills than your work history, while the chronological format highlights work experience with detailed summaries of the achievements within each position. The functional format focuses on the applicant's skill set. A functional resume is best if you have multiple gaps in employment, are shifting careers with little to no experience in the industry in which you are applying, or if you are re-entering the workforce after a lengthy break. Some advantages and disadvantages of the functional resume are: for advantages, the dates and positions are not emphasized. Skills and achievements from older jobs can be used and emphasized as current. The functional resume hides your downward regression and places an emphasis on transferable skills. So some disadvantages. Employers can be suspicious as this format can disguise negative information. Employers may assume all skills are current, and the absence of dates is confusing and can lead to mistakes within the automatic tracking software. So here's the chronological resume. And a chronological resume lists your work experience in reverse chronological order, starting with your most recent position at the top. This is the most traditional resume format and for many years remained the most common. A chronological resume is a good choice for anyone whose employment history shows a consistent, advancing career path. Automatic tracking software algorithms will most likely be set for this type of resume, as it is the most commonly used format and easiest to read or follow. And some of the advantages and disadvantages here: again, it's easy to follow. Your work history shows progression, so an upward progression, and your objective or summary is the same as your or similar to your recent experience. Some disadvantage is it doesn't hide any flaws in your work history, such as changing jobs frequently or being unemployed. It doesn't allow for flexibility to change the objective to something other than your experience. Now, before we leave this slide, I do want to point out a couple of things here for your branding. You'll notice everything is centered and bolded on all the headings here. And you see that continue through here and down in the education as well. And you heard me mention the justify button earlier. Your justify button will keep everything square on both sides. Now this just increases that professional appearance. But it's good to maintain your brand throughout your resume and your cover letter. Now we'll get into the parts of the resume and their purposes. The first is the contact information. This is your opening snapshot, and clean, organized formatting should be used to entice readers to read more, or automatic tracking software to recognize your information. You should list your preferred name and how employers should contact you. The reader should not have to put any thought into this section. such as wondering what name you prefer to go by or how to contact you. You'll notice optional next to professional affiliation. Now, while this is optional, we suggest including to allow for positions to be marketed to you and recruiters a head start on helping you conduct your job search. If you don't include URLs to your professional online profiles, hiring managers will look you up regardless. 86% of recruiters admit to reviewing candidates' online profiles. So why not include your URL along with your contact information? This will prevent recruiters from having to guess or mistaking you for someone else. Now, what you'll want to include here in your contact information, you'll see from the example, is your name, and we've kept the branding centered, bolded. They've listed their email, their mobile phone number, and their address is just city, state, and zip code. Listing your street address is not necessary. And here's that optional piece that we recommend putting because they're going to look for you anyway. Using this example here will ensure that automatic tracking software picks up on all of your information. This can be sometimes copied from LinkedIn, which looks like what they've done in the example here. Notice they've kept their branding centered and bolded, and they've gone in to tell us what they're great at, what they're interested in, and how they can provide value to the company within the 3 to 5 sentences here. What they've done after that is taken those key words and key phrases and put them in here. Now what this does is it allows the automatic tracking software to pick up on these keywords and phrases and to give you a higher percentage of match for the position. Oftentimes people ask, what should I include in my experience? You should include any full and part-time jobs, any self-employment, any volunteer work, or practicum field and cooperative education. To stick to professional formatting, you'll want to include a job title, your dates of employment, the company name, and the city and state. And again, that's just before the description of the company. Now underneath the position, the company, and the company description, you'll want to list your responsibilities for each position you've held. This is where the employer or automatic tracking software determines whether you have the required skills or not. It will be imperative to match the verbiage on your resume to skills and responsibilities of the advertised position. This will help the reader or that automatic tracking software match your skills to the position requirements. Now you'll always want to use bullet points for this. You'll want to avoid dense blocks of text. The more white space, the better. Recruiters receive so many resumes to scan through at a time, so make it as easy as possible for them to understand why you're perfect for the job. Dense blocks of text are too difficult to read. Under each job or experience you've had, explain how you contributed to or supported your team's projects and initiatives. You'll want to quantify your achievements. This can include the money you saved or brought in for your employer, the number of deals closed, and projects delivered on time or under budget. Do not use any more than 3 to 5 bullet points per position. And remember the results by action sentence structure. For example, generated approximately $452,000 in annual savings. That's your result. By employing a new procedure which streamlined the business's vendor relationships. Your action. Also remember to tailor your experiences to the position, advertisement, or description. So that means changing up your keywords and phrases to the keywords and phrases found in the position description. Be concise while providing enough detail. The next section of your resume is your education. You want to list the formal name of your institution and include city and state if not already a part of the name. You'll want to use reverse chronological order when listing your degrees. Only use dates if your degree has been earned in the last couple of years. An older date may age you or your degree, and the employer may not consider a degree as currently relevant. Some things you'll notice from the slide here is listing out the full name of your degree. So instead of BS, use Bachelor of Science, or AAS, use Associate of Applied Science. Continuing with education, we'll move into the graduation date. Now you can list the month and the year, or just the year. Same goes for expected graduation date. Listing your GPA. Remember, less is more. We recommend using GPA only if recognized or given awards for academic achievement, such as Dean's or President's List. And high school information. The only time to be used is if no post-secondary schools have been attended or if you just graduated high school. You'll notice here that they've kept their branding with the centered and bolded heading. They've spelled out the name of their degree, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, and listed their academic achievement just next to it. In this example, they've chosen just to list the date. Moving on to the section beyond education is honors and awards. And how do you rank importance of awards? You can do this in two ways. You can rank by order of importance to the objective, meaning which award relates most to the position you're applying for, or you can order by date in reverse chronological order. You'll want to keep it simple here. You'll want to list the award, so HR Specialist of the Year, the company, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and the year awarded, 2003. We recommend keeping it reverse chronological order and only including those awards that relate to the position you're applying. Again, less is more. So how do you list professional affiliations and activities? Now remember, you're only going to want to list the ones that are most relevant to the position you're applying for. You want to keep it simple. The name of the group, the title of your leadership role, and the dates. We recommend keeping this in reverse chronological order as well, including only those activities or affiliations that relate to the position you are applying. Less is more, and you want to create white space for ease of reading and aesthetics. So on to some resume do's. In addition to the do's listed here, you want to remember to include a URL to your professional online profile. You want to use a summary in place of your objective. You want to provide company descriptions, use keywords and phrases, and you'll get those from the position description, and just create as much white space as possible using that justify tool. From this slide, you'll also see that you want to use a 1 to 2 line spacing. You want to bold your name and your positions. You want to use varying action verbs, and you can pull this from the position description or thesaurus.com. You want to use short, concise sentences, not to be overly wordy and creating those dense blocks of text. You'll want to use numbers, percentages, or dollars amounts. And you'll want to keep it to 1 to 2 pages. We'll move on to the don'ts of your resume. Don't list any skills or achievements, or anything for that matter, in dense blocks of text. You'll want to keep it as easy as read as possible. Don't use any crazy fonts or colors other than black. Do not include images. Don't use headers or footers, as you'll want to keep it clean and simple for the automatic tracking software to pick up on the words you've written. Do not include any references or say references available upon request. They know you will provide them when needed, and there's no reason to take up the valuable space. Lastly, don't include any personal information such as your social security number, age, gender, height, weight, marital status, and again, a photograph. Today we have defined resume, explained the types of resume, their parts and their purposes. We've discussed automatic tracking software, and we've covered additional do's and don'ts of resume writing. Today's webinar is the first of 3 in our series, How to Stand Out in a Difficult Job Market. Please view the other webinars of this series. Webinar number 2 will be Tailoring Your Cover Letter. Webinar number 3, Leveraging Social Media. Also, sign up for your free Career Edge account at careeredgeky.com. Career Edge is Kentucky's platform for enhancing life skills and professional development. Check out the ePortfolio tool within Career Edge platform to bring your resume, cover letter, and social media profiles together to start marketing yourself to employers today. Be sure to reach out to me for help with any transitioning from college to career questions you may have, including help with your resume. My email is matt, M-A-T-T, at southcentralworkforce.com. And my phone number is 270-331-0044. Thank you for joining us today. Please remember to check out our other helpful webinars.